Jeremiah, how well is this offensive line playing right now?
We're doing pretty great. Those five guys and including myself a little bit, I guess you should say, we're getting better every week, and it's very noticeable. From week one, we were iffy, but just these past few weeks have been great, and more so on the dominant side rather than just getting the job done, if that makes sense.
Where are those areas that you feel like y'all are getting better up there?
Here, I'll give you one play. I don't know if you guys saw, but Marquise Hayes, he came back one play and got a blindside block for Jalen, and that's the play he threw to Lee Morris for the touchdown. And just small details like that, not just doing your job, but excelling at your job and doing more than what you're expected of.
Do you feel kind of like an honorary offensive lineman at times? You mentioned that, just you referenced it a little bit. Do they kind of pull you in as sort of like an honorary lineman?
Yeah, when they got the offensive lineman award last year for the best offensive line in the country, me and Carson were like, that's a little bit of us in there, a little bit of us in there. We weren't in the picture or anything like that, but I do feel part of those guys.
That play you're talking about where Marquise came back there, I mean, obviously you're not an offensive lineman, but when you watch it on film, how difficult is a play like that whenever, because I remember he wasn't really blocking anybody, and he was kind of surveying and realized it. Like, is that a difficult play for an offensive lineman to make as far as you know? Or?
Yeah, those guys weigh a lot more than I do, so that mobility to not only get across the quarterback's face, but avoid him, make the block, and as you said, it can be very difficult. So he did a good job, and those are the things I'm talking about as far as continuing to get better, continuing to improve, and dominate our opponents every week.
Jeremiah, are you able to quantify from an offensive standpoint how much the defense is helping this year? The team cause, they talk about playing complementary football. The offense supports the defense. You get a 3 and out, and you go score, or you get a turnover and you go score.
Mm-hmm. It's all about the energy that they bring. We all feed off of one another. Defense, offense, and special teams we call we fence. So that's the only time the offense and defense is together on the field. And whenever all three sides of the ball are executing, we feed off of one another, and knowing that we all have our back, not just the guys on offense, but if offense messes up, the defense go out there and get a 3 and out, and so on and so forth. So that all comes in together, and we play off of that.
Does it feel good to know that you guys don't have to score 50 points a game maybe this year? I mean, they've only given up whatever it is, 20 or less, like 5 times. I mean, that's pretty impressive.
Well, I don't worry about us having to score so many points to make up for them. That's our expectation in itself, is to score 50 plus or however much it may be. And for them, it's not getting the job done enough to where we barely win. It's them getting a shutout. It's them not allowing any points in the second half. So that's how I approach it.
Yeah, Kyler used to talk about leaning into the expectation of scoring. That's the expectation.
Yeah,
but you got to do it every possession last year. This year you don't have to do it every possession.
Mm-hmm. That's pretty much what, like you said, we lean into that expectation. Every week we go out there expecting to score every drive. If we don't score every drive, then something's not going on. That's we need to fix. So that's our mindset when we go out there on the field.
You said you had high expectations for yourself going into this season, but did you imagine 3 touchdowns this year? I mean, you could still get more as you go.
Yeah. I did have high expectations for myself, and I'm right where I'm supposed to be. If I didn't have these expectations for myself, then what type of athlete would I be? If you don't set goals that aren't uncomfortable, then you're not doing something right. So I strive for that. I strive to continue to get touchdowns and just bring the mentality every day for my team that I'm going to get better and dominate the man that's in front of me.
Jeremiah, your first career catch was against K-State last year, and now going to K-State this week. I mean, can you sort of wrap your head around and sort of follow up on what Dylan said? I mean, a year ago, you get that first catch, and people may not even, see you very much, and now you've become such a important part of things. When you think about how that's evolved, how do you sort of wrap your head around that?
It's just part of the game, When you're here at the university, when you're in Coach Riley's offense, you're expected to get better. You're expected to bring something to the table. So I look back on last year, and I knew that I could do more. I knew I could bring more to the table, and I was expected to be that guy, at the H-back position. So I had a lot to live up to. So like I was saying to him earlier, my expectations were high, and I'm glad my hard work and everything I've done behind the scenes has paid off.
What do you think what did you work on most to get yourself to the point where, I mean, you're the guy getting the first touchdown of the season, and we've seen that continue to be a thing. Like, how did you get yourself to this point?
It's attention to detail. It's not necessarily one thing that I do on the field. It's going to meals every day. It's getting the extra work in off the field. It's the extra lifting. It's my hand placement on a block. It's not necessarily what I do every single workout or what I do every single practice, but it's improving day by day the little things that add up and show on the field on Saturdays.
When you see Jalen, his stat line is 16 out of 17, and it's windy, and one was a drop, and he's got a bad finger. I mean, how good can he get? That's pretty ridiculous.
There is no ceiling, not only for him, but for this offense. And those are things that we expect. You know, we expect Jalen to make those plays. I remember him talking about me and Braden up here a few weeks ago. You know, he said the H-backs needs to get better. And I took that personal because it was true. And I stand up here today and I say we expect those things from Jalen. So the stat lines that he's putting up, they're great. They're great. But, you know, we practice that every day, and we don't expect anything less.
How important is it to have the same starters on the offensive line from the Texas game to last week and kind of the development of that group? Because, I mean, you're obviously asked to block quite a bit too. You kind of notice that maybe the development of the offensive line is helping with that so far?
Yeah, you know, the more those guys can be together on the field and communicate with another, that builds chemistry. You know, no matter what it may be on and off the field, it's helped us a lot. And like I said before, I like to consider myself a part of that, just a little bit. But I'm glad those guys especially are getting better. Like, you can actually see those guys, like I talked about before, Marquise, just dominating, man. Just having fun out there and putting up 50 points. It's a good time.
Jalen doesn't seem, Jeremiah, too concerned about anything like a Heisman poll this time of year. I'm not sure if he'll even care in December when it's time to vote on the thing. What about you? Are you interested in him winning an award like that? Does that reflect on the team if he does?
You know, it's always nice. You know, I don't want to minimize the Heisman Trophy or what it stands for. That's definitely a great accomplishment in itself. But Coach Riley tells us all the time, when you're focused on the individual stuff, that's not really how it should be. When you're focused on the team stuff, the individual stuff will naturally come. So I know what he's focused on right now. I know where his mental focus in, and we're all locked in right now in Kansas State. So
after the game Saturday, Jalen mentioned that the running backs, offensive line, and some of the running backs go out to eat. Are you involved in that? When they go out to eat once a week?
Nah, but I need to hit up Jalen about that.
You don't get the offensive line award, and you don't get the offensive line running back's dinner?
Nah, man, I'm kind of my own thing now. But now the H-backs have something. We always get together every now and then, and over the summer we had a little barbecue. So we kind of do our jobs and stick to ourselves. We take pride in it, though.
How important are those dinner you guys getting together? How important is that, just building chemistry and culture in the program?
Just knowing that all 70 or 100 guys, however many are on the roster, on the sidelines, we all have our back, you know, have each other's back. And like you said, it builds chemistry, it builds camaraderie, and we can smile on and off the field. And no matter what adversity we may face, you know, we're always going to pull through for one another.